Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, and listen as we have a conversation about the mundane. One thing that we can promise is that our conversation will be less than fascinating so that you can feel free to just drift off. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Marco Timpano. We hope you will listen and sleep. Joining me today is a very good friend of mine and someone I've collaborated with on some projects and someone I just enjoy seeing. Welcome, Melissa D'Agostino, to the show.
Thank you.
To the podcast. I sometimes say show, I don't know why.
That's a show.
Fair. It can be.
Sure.
You can follow Melissa at Melissa Dags for both Twitter and Instagram, and melissadagostino.net, and see all the work that you've done. You're a writer, you're a director, you're a producer, an award-winning actor, producer, writer, cabaretist.
Cabaret? Oh, I like it as a verb.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Great.
There's so many things under your belt. A singer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Melissa, when you know someone, not that you forget these things, but you take them for granted. Mm-hmm. And it's when I'm in front of the microphone and I'm trying to, talk the person and sort of express their credentials, that it comes back to you and you're like, well, that's a lot.
It's true. It's very true.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I want to talk to you about one of your loves, which is Hawaii.
Yes.
We spoke to your husband, Matt, about Hawaii, and I was like, I want to talk to Melissa about Hawaii. What is it about Hawaii that brought you there?
That brought me there.
Was it a cheap flight, or was it,
Well, funnily enough, we were supposed to go to Thailand.
Okay.
On our honeymoon. And then there was civil unrest in Thailand.
Okay.
So we weren't able, we were worried about going. So when I was a kid, all of the game shows that I watched always had vacation packages in Waikiki. And so when I was a kid, I always dreamt of going away to Hawaii because it sounded so luxurious.
And whenever they had that as the prize, it was always like the spokesmodels or whatever were always dressed in Hawaii. Like, it always looked exciting.
It did.
Versus a trip to the Rockies where it's a person in a snowsuit.
Yeah, it always looked so glamorous and luxurious.
Sure.
And exotic to, me as a little kid living in Canada. Mm-hmm. So I always thought, and it always seemed like such a romantic getaway. Hawaii felt like such a romantic getaway. So when we weren't going to go to Thailand anymore, we thought, what about Hawaii? So it was just really circumstance that led us there. But the thing that keeps me going back and that I fell in love with is how magical it is. It's really unlike any other place I've been.
What makes it magical for you?
Well, I think you can't escape the connection to nature there. It's volcanoes and luscious forests and the beach and the ocean, because it's islands, and a lot of the islands aren't that large.
Sure.
So there's just ocean all around you. And people there are so connected to nature and the land.
Wow.
You can't not be, because it has such an impact.
Sure.
Sometimes not the best impact. They have a thing there called fog, which is like fog, but it's the air from the volcano.
Sure.
And that can be rough, like on your sinuses.
Right.
But you don't really care. I mean, maybe if you live there.
Fair. It might be a different story.
But when you're vacationing there, you will put up with it because it's everywhere you look is like a postcard.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like delicious for your eyes as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I've never been somewhere where I was so blown away.
Really?
By everything. Sunrise, sunset, by the beach, by the forest. We went hiking, by the canyon.
Tell me about the forest, because that's not something I think of when I think of Hawaii. I think of the beach, I think of volcanoes, I think of hiking, but I don't think forest.
Well, this last time we went to Kauai, which is the Garden Isle, and it's very lush. Mm-hmm. And before we got there, it rained a lot.
Okay.
So we were lucky.
Right.
We, went and got to experience such greenery. And you know, when we were driving to one of our hikes of the Sleeping Giant Mountain, of which there are 3 hiking trails.
Okay.
It was like, it felt like I was watching a movie that takes place in Africa. Like, there were certain trees and some of the vegetation just felt like not like what I was expecting.
Like something prehistoric or something like, for example, when I was in Vancouver, I saw these giant ferns, and I'd never seen giant ferns before. I've seen ferns that people have in their homes,
Right.
but I saw these really large ferns, which I consider to be giant ferns. They're probably not giant ferns, and it reminded me of a prehistoric jungle when I saw them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling in Whistler when we were in Whistler, and just the size and and also the amount of ferns you see in, pardon me, in evergreens. But in a way, yeah, there's something about it that you feel like you're in the Sahara almost, or like, well, not, because some of it is very sort of like a desert, and then there are other areas where you feel like you're in a jungle almost.
Wow.
It's, and I don't remember the name of the tree, but there's one particular tree that I was just always blown away by, and then we hiked, the first day we hiked, it was so beautiful, and every so often you would arrive at an offering where people had taken flowers like plumeria flowers and other things and laid an offering out.
Right.
And I'm not a very religious person at all. Like, organized religion and I parted ways a while ago.
Sure.
But there is something about the spirituality of the connection to the land, and sort of whatever that feeling of like connectedness is, to me feels very spiritual.
Right.
And to say also in that this time around, I was really mindful of the fact that I was a white European settler in Canada traveling, or the descendants of that, traveling to a place where there's a real Indigenous culture, and I feel like I was very mindful of whose land am I on?
Fair.
And what does it mean to have the privilege to take in this beauty? And what does it mean for Indigenous peoples there who, maybe feel oppressed or overcome by the colonization of America, and also
even the inundation of tourists.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of like it becomes a swarm upon not only your land and the places around you and the beauty that you see, but even just your everyday sort of, I don't know what the word is, but just your being. To constantly see people coming and trapezing all over the place. Yeah,
I mean, we went to a rum tasting on an old plantation that's been turned into like a visitor center.
Sure.
Called Gaylord's Plantation. And the woman running the rum tasting was, Kauai, born and raised. Her family she's Polynesian and or some form of Indigenous from that area.
Sure.
And as we were in this tasting, I took a second and I thought, well, what is it like for her to just have all of these, and we're not wealthy,
right?
In comparison to the other people in that tasting. So the people we were in the tasting with had a lot more income than we do.
Sure.
But still, I mean, we are wealthy compared to other people,
of course,
the relativity of all of that. But I thought, what's it like to have all these white people come in and out of this establishment all the time and drink this rum and be on this former sugar plantation, and it's just it's a complicated thing, I think, with travel, in the appreciation of the majesty and magical nature of that island and the beauty of it, and to also at the same time keep in mind that there's a history of colonization and a history of problematic behavior that leads to me being able to go and enjoy a vacation in that beautiful place. So I'm actually even more and more aware of that in my everyday life. Like even in Canada, when I go to High Park and we go for a walk, I think it's interesting because I'm so lucky I get to do this, but whose land is this?
Right.
You know, it's like the Mississauga, New Credit, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, like whoever those tribes are.
Right.
It's their land.
Sure.
And I just don't know that we
appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean,
or give it the respect that it deserves. I often feel that way, especially in our country, that we don't do that nearly enough.
Yeah. I don't think so either. So going to Hawaii for me is, I try really hard while I'm there to learn as much as I can about, you know, the history of the island that I'm on, but also to be as respectful as I can of the environment while I'm there and the people. That said, I haven't spoken to a lot of people about this there, so I can't say what their experience is. I could never speak for them.
Fair enough.
And maybe I'm sure some of them feel one way about it and some of them feel a whole other way, right? As is true for any group of people.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But
you introduced me to poke. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Did you discover it when you were in Hawaii, or did you have it here? Because now I see these places popping up everywhere, but prior to that I had never heard of it, and you had told me about it.
Yeah, funnily enough, we had it for lunch today.
Oh.
Because I saw on Instagram, I saw this one place in Toronto that just opened up that I've never been to.
Sure.
Post a picture of poke, and I was like, okay.
How can we not?
We have to go.
Right.
We had it for the first time there. So our first time having it was on Maui. And we had it,
We should explain what it is for anyone.
Okay, great, yeah.
Thank you.
I will. Poke is, it's sort of like the ceviche, that's how I say it. It's the ceviche of Hawaii. So it's like usually tuna, sometimes salmon, and it's raw fish chopped up and then marinated. The sort of basic marinade is like soy sauce and sesame oil, sesame seeds. It's usually served on a bed of rice and sometimes with some seaweed salad.
Okay.
And then there's other types. So sometimes they put mayonnaise in it, so they have a spicy one, and sometimes they use salmon, sometimes they use albacore tuna, sometimes they use ahi tuna. It's the most delicious thing. I just can't get enough. We ate so much of it on our first trip there. I was starting to get worried about the mercury.
Sure.
A little worried. But now in Toronto, it's quite popular.
Yeah, I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, when did I learn? I learned about this through Matt and Melissa, and now I see it everywhere. Now I feel like almost an expert when I go to it.
Oh, great.
Because of, your information on it.
Yeah, it's really delicious. I find. I mean, you have to like raw fish.
Sure.
And you have to like those flavors.
Yeah.
But we went to North Poke today, which is in Kensington Market.
And it was...
If I can plug it.
There you go. Of course you just did.
I just did. It was delicious.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We had 3 different types.
Is it different here than the one that you got there? Do you find any differences?
Well, I mean, the fish is a little bit different because the fish you get there is... I mean, maybe this isn't true. Maybe it's just because I'm on an island.
Right.
But the fish feels better.
Okay.
Because...
You see ocean around you? Of course.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I wonder if cheese tastes better when you see cows around you.
I wonder. You should experiment.
If you're in Switzerland on a chalet and in front of you just see a bunch of cows and they bring you a plate of fondue.
Yeah.
I bet it tastes better.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's probably sad for that cow, but oh well.
Well,
I mean,
it's better. It's
milk,
better
though.
than eating a steak and watching that cow.
Or a hamburger. Yeah, it's true. That's true. We went to one place in Toronto where it was different because they didn't marinate it.
Oh, I see.
They prepared it in the moment, so they would take some of the fish, put it in a bowl, and then they would put the sauces on top of that, which just because of my experience of eating it in Hawaii where it's marinated, I wasn't as big a fan of.
Fair.
But at North Poke, they marinated, and it was very similar. It was, because there's a place on the Big Island in Hawaii called Da Poke Shack, which just has 12 different types of poke, and you just, you pick which ones you want.
Amazing.
And North Poke is similar to that.
Okay.
I do miss the Hawaii mac salad. So there's a thing called Hawaii mac salad.
Max as in maximum? Like
Mac as in MAC.
Okay.
As in macaroni.
Okay.
So it's a dream for
Yum.
me because I like carbohydrates and mayonnaise.
Who doesn't?
Exactly.
Come on.
So it's not a dream for your arteries.
Fair.
Probably. But it's potatoes, macaroni, peas, carrot, pickle usually, or something like vinegary.
Sure.
And then mayonnaise, and then like prepared like a potato salad.
Okay.
But it also has macaroni.
Yum.
So it's like both together.
Sure.
So often when you get poke at like the Poke Shack, you get the rice, the poke, some seaweed salad if you want, and then you can get potato mac salad. And yeah, I miss that. I feel
Sure.
like nobody really has potato mac salad here.
I haven't had it and I miss it.
Yeah, I've made it before.
Oh, man.
It's really good. Yeah. But the food in Hawaii is really interesting.
Big news! Boost Mobile is now sending experts nationwide to deliver and set up customers' new phones at home or work.
Wait, we're going on tour?
Not a tour. We're delivering and setting up customers' phones so it's easier to upgrade.
Let's get in the tour bus and hit the road.
No, not a tour bus. It's a regular car we use to deliver and set up customers' phones at home or work.
Are you a groupie on this tour?
We deliver and set up phones. It's not a tour.
Oh, you're definitely a groupie.
Introducing Store to Door. Switch and get a new device with expert setup and delivery wherever you're at.
Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise. And that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one. Or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
Here's how to stay alive longer so you can enjoy Boost Mobile's unlimited plan with a price that never goes up. Do not mistake a wasp nest for a piñata. Stay alive and switch now at Boost Mobile. After 30 gigs, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Now, when you were there, did you get a chance to go to a luau?
We did not go to
Okay.
a luau, and the reason why we didn't go to a luau is because we felt that they were all... The only ones we really had access to were on Maui.
Okay.
At our resort, because we stayed a couple of days at like a resort hotel-ish.
Sure.
But they all felt very commercial.
Okay.
And I didn't feel good. I didn't want to have a sort of touristy experience.
Right.
What we have done there, which I thought was more authentic, was when we were on Kauai, we went to this market. It's like a mall, basically,
Sure.
like a strip mall. But we went there to have lunch one day, and we had this amazing, I think they were called puka dogs. They were incredible. They were like sausages.
Right.
With like these amazing mustards that were like mustard and passion fruit, or mustard and like guava and mango, and like they put it with the sausage.
So
It's like a topping.
So wait, it's a sausage, and then they put mustard and something sweet with it?
The mustards are made with like mango or guava.
So wouldn't that be more like a chutney?
But it's not thick like a chutney. It's not like a relish.
See, this is why I love talking, because you get why I'm asking this, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, no, I do. It's
Yeah.
like it's a mustard, but it's flavored.
Oh, this sounds great.
Oh my god, it was one of the best
sounds great.
hot dogs ever. So we were eating that, and while you're eating
Wait, is it a hot dog or a sausage?
it's a sausage.
Okay.
But they call it a puka dog.
Okay, but it's a
But
sausage.
it's a sausage.
Okay.
They have veggie ones, and then they have like the regular sort of pork
Amazing.
sausage. And they put it in a bun, which I haven't seen this since I was a kid. My dad used to have a salon at South Common Mall in Mississauga, and there used to be a hot dog place there.
What was the name of his salon?
hair collection.
Fantastic.
And my dad has an accent, so he would answer the phone and say hair collection, which my sister and I still say.
Amazing.
But there was a hot dog place there, and I don't remember what the name of it was, but I remember being a kid in the food court, and they would take a bun, a hot dog bun, and they would put it on like a spike that was standing up to make a hole in it.
Oh.
So that then they could put the dog in the bun.
Yes.
This is how the puka dogs are.
Amazing.
They stick the sausage
That's the way
in the
the
bun.
Lord meant it to be, if you ask me. Yeah.
I mean, it makes it kind of tricky with the sauce, because the sauce kind of like
right.
oozes out.
Right. It's kind of, because it's not held in place on a horizontal. You can eat it on the vertical, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really good. But while we were eating that, there was a local musician playing ukulele and singing, and then women dancing.
Oh my goodness.
Traditional Polynesian dance, and that was amazing to watch. And similarly, we went to there's a town on Kauai called Hanapepe, which is an old plantation town when sugar cane used to be a big market there and a big export, and now it's sort of a ghost town. A lot of movies have been filmed there.
Okay.
There's a suspension bridge nearby from Indiana Jones. It's like a big movie town.
Sure.
But it's also a bit of a ghost town. Like we went during the day, and not very much was happening. There's like some photography studios, some artist studios, a wonderful little shop where you can buy vintage maps and vintage artifacts. But the woman who runs this store said to us, "Come back on Friday to art night." And so we did. And the town comes alive during art night. There's food trucks and live music, and all these people come, and we had this amazing huli chicken, which is like barbecued chicken in these different spices, and we sat in front of these two amazing musicians who played traditional Hawaiian music and contemporary Hawaiian music, and I feel like those experiences for me made more sense and were more interesting than a luau.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So it's called art night, and you just show up. Do you have to pay to? No. Oh, that's
you
wonderful.
You don't pay, and everything is. I mean, you pay for whatever food you want to eat, but and it's not. The thing about Hawaii is like Maui is pricier because it's so touristy.
Sure.
The Big Island, not so much, and then Kauai, not so much.
Okay.
Because there's a lot more. I mean, we ate locally. Like we didn't really seek out a lot of luxury experiences.
Right.
For us, it was more about local food, and we ate so well.
Amazing.
All kinds of different things. We went to this place called Mermaid Cafe in Kapa'a, and another place called Bubba's Burgers, where apparently Robert Downey Jr. ate every night of his Tropic Thunder shoot.
Well, there you go.
Like an article in the restaurant. And we had these amazing noodles once for breakfast. We went to this place called Simon.
I love that you remember all these places.
I do.
That's so great.
Food, I really remember. I love food.
I think that's one of the beauties of traveling. Like everybody, oftentimes I'll see people taking photos of a famous site or something, and it's like, are you really enjoying it? Or are you just taking the photo so you can say you were there?
Photos are so tricky. I find social media and photos like Instagram really tricky, because on the one hand, some of the photos I took there are wonderful and beautiful, and you want to capture, like the sunrises, you just want to capture it. But on the other hand, I do feel sometimes I'm more concerned with taking a photograph of the moment and showing everybody that photograph than I am actually just being in the moment.
And that's how I feel about some people with food. That they go to a place and they want to have the experience of the food that they heard was so great, or was, let's say, famous in that spot. And they're so, consumed by that they don't enjoy the actual item they're eating, where it's like, I've got to have the Singapore sling because I'm here at the whatever hotel it is in Singapore, and I got to gulp it down and whatnot, versus like, you know what? Why don't I just go anywhere, have a Singapore sling here in Singapore, and just read a paper or do something and just enjoy it like that?
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, too, with food, it's like the food arrives, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an old school, I grew up really appreciating food, being
Sure.
Italian. And I feel like you get the food, and instead of taking a moment to be with the food and like appreciate what it looks like and how it smells,
Sure.
and then eat it while it's hot, you're worried about the angle of the photo
Right.
and the light on the it betrays the experience.
It mars the experience. I agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Well, I know you would, because you're a
Wow, there you
purist
go.
as well.
And you know, it's interesting because I can oftentimes when I'm with Melissa in a social setting, I can say something that might seem obscure to everyone else, and she just gets it. In particular, when it comes to food, what would be the takeaways you took from each island that stays with you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you. I'll give you a second to think about that, because
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those questions that, you know, someone poses to you and you want to give an immediate response to, but sometimes you're like, you know, it takes me a minute. And, you know, when you ask a question like that, I always like to follow up or whatnot, so I'll just give you a moment with that.
Okay.
And say, I'm really excited because I want to go to Hawaii, and we had a trip booked, and then for some reason or another we had to cancel it, but that just means we will be going there, and I've already consulted you on this twice, actually, for 2 different islands. So I'm going to just say thank you for that.
Oh, my
so
pleasure.
what is your takeaway?
So I would say that Maui. Well, actually, let me work backward.
Sure.
So, Kauai for me, my takeaway is groundedness and the sun, like the power of the sun. There's like a connection to the sun, because I've never seen sunrises and sunsets like that. So it made me feel like, it made me understand it gave me a sense of what really matters.
Okay.
It gave me a sense of the macro of life,
Cool.
if that makes sense. The Big Island, is earthy and fire. Like, when you see the volcano and you see the active volcano, it's just there's a depth to the Big Island. I think people really underestimate the Big Island.
Oh.
People go to Kauai to surf, and because it's the Garden Isle.
Sure.
People go to Maui because of the beaches
Right.
and the tourism. The Big Island is amazing.
Wow.
And really earthy and deep.
Cool.
So that's what I don't know. These were just feelings, I
No,
guess.
that's awesome. I was expecting, you know, flip-flops at this place. And,
Oh, do you want? I
no,
can
no,
do
no.
that too.
I want you to give me whatever it is to you.
Okay, yeah. Like, I feel like the Big Island is like the gut
Okay.
of Hawaii, and Kauai is the like soul of Hawaii.
Oh, cool.
And then Maui is like the fun of Hawaii. Like Maui, for me, my takeaways are like the colors. Like, it's a vibrant place.
Sure.
It's touristy,
Yep.
but it's gorgeous.
Right.
Like, if you want a beach, it's a beautiful place to go and be on a beach.
Cool.
And Hana, which is this like breathtaking area that's really not
Don't they say
developed.
the road to Hana or something like what?
So here's my tip about the road to Hana.
Thank you.
If you're adventurous.
Yes.
Because we went to see the sunrise on the top of Haleakala, which is like the highest mountain on Maui, and which is breathtaking. And if you're on Maui, I really suggest going up to watch the sunrise.
What if you have issues with
Heights? Well, then maybe don't.
Just deal with it. Okay.
Or don't go.
Okay.
It's fine. You'll still see a beautiful sunrise. But yeah, the altitude is a thing.
Is there? Okay.
But because we did that, we started our day a little bit later in terms of getting on the road to Hana. So we went to a local place in Lahaina for breakfast, and the guy who ran it saw us looking at our map, and the guy who owns it, and said, you know, it's really late for you to start on the road to Hana, because the road to Hana going along the northern part of the coast it gets really busy because everyone's going to Hana.
Sure.
And there's a lot of traffic.
What is Hana?
Hana is a beautiful part of the island of Maui that is not really developed.
Okay.
So whereas the other parts of Maui have resorts on them,
Sure.
and it's just a really what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but it's an uncultivated sort of area.
Okay.
And so it's quite beautiful and also very grounded. There's also like really neat waterfalls and the 7 pools that you can see on your way to Hana. It's a pretty beautiful place.
Okay.
But there's only really a couple of places to stay there, and they're quite expensive. So if you're going to stay overnight, it's quite pricey.
Sure.
But you can drive through in a day and
come
drive,
back. Okay.
Yeah, if you want. So what he said to us was, you should take the back road to Hana along the southern coast, because no one takes it, and there's a little stretch of it that is not paved.
Okay.
But you should be fine.
Love
I
it.
will say this. If you are not an adventurous driver or an adventurous passenger, it is a bit treacherous.
Okay.
You are right on the coast, and sometimes there's not really much of a guardrail.
Okay.
And there are stretches of it that are not really paved, but it is magnificent.
Really?
And there aren't a lot of people on it.
Okay.
And it's a great adventure. So I would say if you're going to Hana and you have a bit of adventure in you, try taking the back road to Hana.
Right.
And then take the northern road back
Okay.
to Lahaina if you're
Sure.
going back to Lahaina or wherever you're headed.
What a great tip.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa, I want to thank you for telling us about Hawaii. This is Hawaii Part 2. I don't know if I mentioned you're an actor.
I don't
off the
know.
top.
Yeah,
Actor, writer, performer, producer, director, and much, much more. Follow her at Melissa Daggs. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks, Marco.
As always, the Insomnia Project is produced by Drumcast Productions, and this episode was recorded in Toronto, Canada.